What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the seltzertime podcast. It's your boy Ricky, aka Dick Chuck, aka the man behind the can at seltzertime official. Sorry, there was a dog in the street. Here is always a conversation accomplice with me with the hunch about Worcester, Travis.
What is crackin', Fizzle Fiends? Welcome back to another episode of the seltzertime podcast. And as always, we are so glad you're with us. This week on the show, we're talking to Woodrow Adams Jr., the president of 508 Forever Young Incorporated, a city bent on bringing good things to our youth of our community. And we talked to him about everything going on, really. And it was a wonderful conversation. But before we get there, you know what we have to do. Hey, Ricky, how was your week?
What's up? My week was like everybody else's, pretty shitty. I got a PS4, so that happened.
You even turn it on?
Yeah, I turned it on. Okay, two things. It's very evident to me that I'm not a gamer. I didn't realize that. So I got it. It came in like super late on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday night. I got it at like 8 o'clock, which was kind of weird. So I opened it, plugged it in, put in MLB The Show, and I didn't realize that all PS4 controllers are wireless. The wire that comes with it is just to charge it. So it's also not that long of a cord. So I sat in a wooden chair looking up like this in front of our TV. Being that close to the TV that large is not the best idea. And looking up at it was horrible, and my neck was a lot. It was a lot. So I did that for like a couple hours on Monday night or on Tuesday night, and then yesterday. Did I play yesterday? No, I don't. What day is it right now? That was today's Friday, right? Okay. So yeah. So yesterday I went to play, and I unplugged the cord for a second and realized that the little light on the front was still blue, and I was like, "You're kidding me!" Oh, so the thing is, while I was sitting there while playing, Naomi was like, "I'm just gonna buy you a cordless controller," because like neither of us knew. So I now have two controllers. So if you want to come over and play, like when COVID's over, we can, because it came in yesterday, and literally I was like, all right, cool. But while I'm playing, I unplugged the one that I already had, and then I was much more comfortable. But I also I didn't realize you have to like load every game. It's like it's a whole new world compared to like PS2, where you just throw stuff in and roll with it. So I've only played. I played MLB for a little bit on Tuesday night, and then a little bit on Wednesday. On Wednesday I did play for a little bit, and then yesterday I started playing NHL.
Nice.
So that's super fun. I'm really bad. I also don't have the patience to watch like the tutorial video that shows you like what the controllers do. I try to just like figure it out myself, which is so stupid. But
You have not played a hockey game in a while. It is so much different than the way hockey games used to be.
yes. Yeah, it really is. Everything looks amazing, and it looks like I'm watching an actual game, but it's I go from like I'm having fun to like really frustrated that I lose every game 6-0 or 6-1. So I'll get better, but I don't know. But that's about it. That's kind of the only that's the only thing that really like happened with me that wasn't miserable, I guess, is the best way to put things last week.
Well, so, all right. I don't know if I would describe it that way, but so the thing that really stood out for me this week was Monday night. And
yes, that's a good point. I didn't mean it that way. I know what you mean. No. My home life.
Yeah. And watching the news has been miserable, and learning about all the atrocities happening has been miserable.
Yeah. It's a lot. But so that's the only thing that changed for me, I guess, in terms of like my home life. Easily the biggest thing from last week was Monday night's protest, for sure.
Which was just absolutely incredible. There was easily 2,000 to 3,000 people there, I think. even with the fear of COVID-19, we all got together, tried to remain as socially distant as possible.
Everybody, so like I got home and we FaceTime with Naomi's mom. She wanted to like hear about it. The first thing that came to mind was like how powerful it was, and every single person there had a mask. It was really nice to be around that many people who are taking the two largest issues right now in the world very, very, very seriously. It was good.
And big props to Christian King and Maggie Barjolo for being the two main organizers, it felt like. And they brought together some amazing voices from different facets of our community.
Yeah.
And the thing that I found was most powerful was the ranging of ages, where there were some older people talking about their experiences. There were some younger people talking about what they're doing now. And it's just learning about all that has been it's so many words. It's humbling. It's infuriating. It's confusing. It's eye-opening. Like,
yeah, I think Tuesday was probably like the most emotional day, I would say, in terms of like process for me, at least. I don't want to speak for everybody at all, but like for me, processing things just because of how powerful Monday night was. But I think also like, I mean, I said this in the video that I posted the other day on the account about how like I wasn't there at the later stuff that happened on Monday night. I'm not going to speak on it because I don't, there's really no way to like find out a truth. I watched the Mass Live Facebook Live thing that Tom did, which is kind of hard to like, you can't dispute what happened because there's video evidence. Like the whole, you know what I mean? Like people watched that. There was like 2.8 or 3.2 thousand people, I think, watching when his phone battery died. So it's like, you can like, no matter what's released, people watched what happened. I then went back and did kind of a deep dive into Twitter to see other people's videos, including the video of Tom, like being approached by the police and explaining to them that he was the media and them not believing him. And like, that's caught on camera. Like everything is caught on camera nowadays. But I think Tuesday morning, I had a conversation with a friend whose family member is a police officer, and hearing their side of not what went down, but like what they go through as a family member of a police officer every day. But it like, especially right now when there's a lot of uncertainty, that like really hit home. And I have a friend who is a police officer who I had messaged, and hearing from him things it was just a very like emotional moment. Yeah, I don't know. That was a day that like kind of hit me differently than any other day, for sure. Just from and he started off with what he said with saying that he was thinking about like me and his other friends that he had at the protest earlier in the day, and he was like, I hope everybody stays safe. But also he praised what had gone on at that moment, because he was like, that like every single police officer or law enforcement tie that I've talked to has said that what went down Monday night had absolutely nothing to do with what happened with the protest. You know what I mean? Like later on Monday night, that was, they were not connected. They were two separate things. And that, I thought that was a good way to like, it's a good way to look at things, I think.
What I found very interesting is that the family member of the police person and the woman that was speaking on Monday night basically were saying the same thing, that they just want their loved ones to be able to come home safely, which I think there's some power in that statement, that there's really both people, like we're not really on opposing sides here. we want to stop hurting each other, and we want to do this the right way. Talking about Twitter and talking about, I found that Sam Bishop, what is his username? SE Bishop 99 has the most on the ground. There's always his side, her side, and the truth, right? Every story. I feel like he kept it most journalistic, where he has on the ground video. He's being critical of both the protesters as well as the law enforcement. And I think from gaining the information that I understand about this incident and lots of other incidents, I think that there are clear things, there are lines drawn, and there are escalation points. I'm not going to point fingers, but I'm saying there is a pattern of escalation points that truly need to be looked at, really need to be assessed as to whether or not they are the really proper ways to move about things. And then we all know that optics are powerful, and it's just, yeah, we need to be sensitive about this stuff. But at the same time, like, yeah, there was a person on top of Pennywise throwing Molotovs. Yeah. That person has been addressed. But there were also reports of officers pulling people off of their front porches, people that were just coming out to see what was going on, and basically pushing and making them part of the protest. And then they get arrested. Yeah. Like, again, we don't know all the facts. I'm only using the information that has been publicly presented.
Yes, for sure.
But there is definitely some stuff that went down when it seems like it shouldn't.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just, excuse me, for somebody who doesn't have to deal with any of that stuff, it has been a wildly emotional roller coaster of a week plus now, almost 2 weeks.
Since my anniversary, May 25th.
Really? Oh my God.
That was the day Floyd was murdered.
Almost 2 weeks. It's been kind of crazy. I've learned more in the last, 12 days than I have in probably the last 12 years, to be fully honest with you. It's just been information overload.
Yeah.
In the best way, like, for sure.
I haven't had a passion in learning and reading about current events until like this, like historical events. How much do you know about the Boston Massacre?
Not much.
I didn't know shit, really. I knew it existed. Yeah. I kind of had an idea of the story. I went back and I read some like historical accounts as to what happened. And long story short, it was British soldiers firing on a group of American protesters that were throwing clods of dirt, rocks, and snowballs.
Yeah. So
the parallels there are interesting, and that is seen as one of the foundational points of American Revolution. So it's like, it's just so interesting, the stuff that's been happening.
Yeah, I think obviously, we're going to get to Stokes and Pokes, but I don't know if you saw what went down so we're recording this on a Friday. On Thursday night in Buffalo, it was pretty disgusting. I mean, it's everything has been disgusting, but it's like to again watch what took place. There's video evidence from multiple different angles of what had happened to an old white man who was handing back a police helmet, and was the way he was treated and completely ignored while blood was gushing from his head is very telling as to what is actually going on in the rest of the country. And that's only something that was videotaped. I keep seeing imagine what we're not seeing, because that's obviously happening. And I don't know. It's really, and then to watch the way that originally Buffalo police released a statement that was not accurate at all.
Tripped and fell.
Yeah. And then because of all the video evidence, they had to go back and take action on those officers. It's kind of insane, because if there was no video, then nothing would have happened.
I mean, so like, yeah, that's just one of many of the incidents. Like there's an incident where one officer bum rushed, I think this was Boston, and he just started swinging, and one of his own officers tried to pull him off, and then he swung on one of his own officers because he wasn't actually paying attention to what he was doing. He was just being aggressive.
Yeah.
Or you have the bike cops using their bikes, or you have the president initiating an attack on protesters so he can go take some shitty photo in front of a church.
Yeah.
It's just one thing after another. And like, yeah, I love living in the future. And I think the connection and the fact that all this stuff is being recorded is why it's actually helping. But at the same time, it is overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see the video? Sean King is an account I've been following, and he posted this young woman, this young black girl saying no justice, no peace. And she is just like, to say that she's adorable would be to like rob her of her message, because to see such a young voice so impassioned is.
Oh yeah. I like while she's marching, like the little.
Yeah. Well, and then 2 days later, they filmed her actually giving a speech to the crowd. And
really?
I think she's 9, and to have that much understanding of your words, to have that much control over what you're saying at such a young age is just fantastic. There's no other words for it. So that's the stuff that I've been trying to like, I'm not trying to dodge the negative stuff. Because to ignore it doesn't help the problem. But to make sure that I'm also concentrating on the good that's happening and the people that are staying positive through this shit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably a good segue, because somebody that's staying positive through this stuff is Woodrow Adams Jr., the person that we got to talk to today.
Yeah. Send it over to the interview.
Yeah. Take it away, us. All right, guys. This week on the show, we have Woodrow Adams Jr., the president of 508 Forever Young Incorporated, a local voice here in the community of Worcester, and somebody that we are super excited to talk to. Thanks for joining us, Woodrow.
Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure to join you on your show.
Awesome. So off the top, I learned about Woodrow from Monday night here in Worcester, where he was one of the people that were up at the protest speaking to the crowd. And what I felt made Woodrow stand out is the fact that he went up there without a planned speech, spoke from his heart, and I was moved. I was moved by your words. I was moved by your passion, and I knew right then and there, like, this is a person that I need to know, because he's clearly cares about our city, and I want to help him do the good things he's doing. So, like, I guess we should start there. Like, did you ask to speak at the protest on Monday? Were you approached?
I was actually approached by City Councilman Christian King. I've known him for quite some time now, growing up. He's been involved in the community in the city for a long time, with running the basketball in the summertime and just being around. So he actually reached out to me, and I couldn't believe it. I was ready to go. I was honored. I finally have a platform and a voice to get a message across for myself, along with the people of the community. So that was an opportunity that I could not say no to. I jumped on it. For quite some time after he had reached out to me, I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go. I wasn't sure if I should write something down. Obviously, I have a lot of different emotions and thoughts going on through my head. But it was something that, like I said, I was looking forward to doing, and I didn't write anything down. I just went up there and spoke from the heart, and from the feedback that I'm getting from people in the community, from reaching out lately, it's been positive. Of course, there's going to be some people that don't agree with you, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinion, but for the most part, a lot of people applaud what I did. I stood up. I didn't have to. I could have just sat down and kept quiet, but overall, it was a great experience for me, and I'm still on cloud 9 from the whole situation. Like, that's something. I have a 86-year-old grandmother who has seen a lot growing up from down south in South Carolina with the different marches and the protests. And for her to see me on the news the other morning, and my mother being able to explain to her what, you know, what her grandson is doing out there in the community, for her to see it, that was just overwhelming experience. There's nothing that beats that feeling.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Did anybody? So I didn't see the news. Travis and I were both at the protest on Monday. But when the news ran the story, did anybody film your entire speech so your grandma could see that, or was it just a little bit?
Yes, a couple of friends of mine that went down there. They filmed. They went live on Facebook, and I also had my girlfriend with my GoPro, so we were able to capture not only my speech but every other speaker up there. And then, like I said, a lot of people were out there with their cell phones, and the media also covered a little piece of my story. I was pulled aside and I did about a 5-minute interview, and they aired it online. So
okay,
I put it on the news. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you were approached for reasons, and anybody that's watching our video right now can see the big old banner sitting next to you.
Oh yeah.
Could you tell us a little more about what Forever Young is, or 508 Forever Young? Sorry.
No problem. 508 Forever Young is something that's going to live forever. It's going to be around in the community. The goal is to make this thing worldwide. I have big dreams. I have big goals. I have a lot of expectations, and I'm pretty hard on myself to the point where sometimes like I can't sleep. I get fidgety. I critique myself a lot. But 508 Forever Young Inc. It started several years ago. I had a close cousin of mine, like a brother, best friend. His name was Marcus Anthony Blakeney. He had sudden health complications, and he didn't make it. And it was sudden. We didn't see this coming. He was sick. He went to the hospital. By the time he got to the hospital, like I said, it was too late. He ended up losing his life. And me and him growing up, we attended the Boys and Girls Club over on Ionic Ave. We spent a lot of time together, and then we had cookouts as we grew older. And we would just sit back and we would just have discussions about doing things for the community. He loved the kids. He worked at Harvard House for many years. Kids looked up to him in the city and surrounding towns. And me and him would go back and forth and have these different conversations, what we want to do, how we want to do it, have a block party, give away free food, just have fun with the kids, right? So he passed, and I broke down. A part of me left with him when he passed, and I just thought to myself, like, tomorrow is not promised. I can't keep sitting back thinking and planning and worrying about if it goes wrong or how am I going to do this? I don't have the funds. So I was moved, and unfortunately it was due to his death, but I was moved, and I just went ahead. I threw it out there with the backpack event. That first year, we received over 500 backpacks.
500 in your first year?
500 in the first year.
That's
so amazing. I know I'm getting sidetracked with the whole 508 Forever Young, how this got started, but a lot of it is just because of, like I said, his passing. A lot of me was torn down, and from that point forward, I decided to say to myself, if I have these ideas, I have these thoughts, and the big man above is telling me to go ahead and do it, I can't keep sitting on it. I just have to go out there and believe and trust that things will happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just diving into action. That's the move.
All right, so it started with a backpack a backpack drive a few years ago, and it has grown clearly.
Yes.
So
yes. Like I said, yep, it started with the backpacks. My goal is to get the funds up and have a facility where I could get these kids off of the street. I'm mainly focused on middle school. That 6th grade to 8th grade, that transition is very tough for a lot of our youth. They start to begin to try to find themselves. They're being led in different directions. They're vulnerable. They need the support. And a lot of our kids, sometimes they feel like they don't have anybody to go to. They don't feel comfortable where they can ask these different questions that they have. Or they don't have the tools they need to succeed. So my goal is to, get the funds up soon. I'm going to have pretty much an event or something where I can just throw it out there, because a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? So growing up, I was very humble. I kept to myself, but now it's time to stand out and ask for funds. People are going to see where these funds are going. It's going right back into the community, as I've been doing all this time, and have therapeutic mentors, have different internships. I'm connected with the Worcester Courthouse, as you all know. I work down there. I have different people who are willing to get the internships down there. Buy a van, just buy a van and take these kids out of state. I I coach a basketball team for AAU, Worcester United, Worcester team. And often I pick up 2-3 kids, however many I can fit in my car, and we go to the games. And we go to Rhode Island, Providence, and some of these kids haven't even seen Providence, Rhode Island. They're like, wow, they look out the window, they see the different buildings and the houses, and it hurts. It touches me in a way where it's like, these kids need to get off of their block and out of their area and see different parts of the world, So
yeah.
I have big dreams with blowing this thing up into something big, and I'm going to reach out. I'm going to have the support of the community, and just go from there. I'm gonna throw it all out there and push for this thing to happen.
Nice.
So partly you're kind of changing plans, I imagine, because of COVID. Is there anything you're doing immediately? Is there anything coming up right now, or is it all still in plan mode?
Right now, COVID-19 is just it's put a lot of delay on different things. I had my Stop the Violence event. Would have been the 3rd annual Stop the Violence. That all started with the passing of my cousin, Sidney Crow, 3 years ago in the city of Worcester. It was the first homicide that happened, I want to say over at least a year or something or so. But his passing sparked me, and once again, another tragic incident to really push me to do something, and unfortunately, I don't want these, I want to prevent things now, right? The goal is prevention. So his passing inspired me, along with my cousin, Aaron Baxter, to hold an event at the Boys and Girls Club, and where we had high school teams come out and play. And then we had guest speakers come down. We had many activists from the city, chief of police. We had the DA, the mayor. They all came down and supported. And so around this time, I would be planning for my Stop the Violence event. But due to COVID-19, we can't have large gatherings of people at the Boys and Girls Club. So now I'm switching gears. I'm focused on my back-to-school backpack event that I usually have the 3rd week, Saturday in August. And I'm trying to figure out a way where I can mix both events, because I still want to have the Stop the Violence piece. That's something that the city needs. Our youth need to hear the message, and different powerful speakers who have experience with violence growing up in the city and how they made changes to better themselves and people around them. So right now, I'm just using this time wisely to, like I said, mix both programs of Stop the Violence along with the backpack event in August.
So obviously we don't know what things are going to look like in August, but do you have a plan to do it virtually, or have a drop-off center for backpacks if there can't be a proper event just because of COVID?
Right. That's something that I'm looking into. I would need to find a location where they would, where they would be able to pick up the backpacks. Because like I said, not a lot of people want to have large gatherings. And for this event, it gathers so many people, and it'll be difficult. It won't be impossible, but it'll be a challenge to, set times where people can come without, the 6 feet social, distancing. And, but that is definitely on the plan. I'm definitely trying to coordinate with a location and people that are willing to come out and assist me with this.
That seems to be the challenge this summer, is trying to figure out how these
Hey.
Try to figure
Sorry.
out. We switched around.
All of a sudden, you guys just went away. I was like, oh no.
Try to figure out how to still be effective. Like I'm with Powwow Worcester, and we're figuring out like we're probably not going to have a festival this year because of the way it goes and fundraising effort, and we're already behind the 8 ball on our stuff.
Right.
But it's still like we want to keep up this momentum, and we don't want to, you know, we want to show the community we're still here and that we're still, you know, helping out where we can. So I think you said it very well. It's not impossible, but it is going to be challenging to figure out how to still be effective.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to try my best. I have plenty of people. I put a post out on Facebook yesterday about the Stop the Violence event being canceled on June 22nd. And people were like, no, no, we need this. Our kids need this. They need to hear the message, the guest speakers that you have. So, I mean, even if it's, even if it's something where I just go live and, you know, and I have my guest speakers do something like this where we can all be on the screen and doing something, you know?
Yeah, get it out there in some way.
Right.
I mean, yeah, get one of the school Zooms where they can have one of their like crazy 1,000 people meetings.
Right. Yeah. There you go. There it is.
That's the beautiful thing, man. It's like figuring out these ideas and talking with our community and getting these voices. Like this is how shit gets. This is how stuff gets done, and I love it. And that's what we want to be a part of.
There it is.
What else is Worcester doing right? What are some things that you know of that maybe not everybody should know of, or rather, maybe that everybody knows of yet, but they should?
There's a lot of support out there. There are a lot of different agencies that I've encountered on this journey over these past few years that are really willing to help out our city and the people. But it's just sad that the media and, you know, these different things that we see as we scroll on our timeline, you know, just the negative, people tend to be drawn more towards the negative than the positive, you know, and it's just sad that people will want to put their energy towards that.
Agreed.
You know, there are a lot of different agencies and people out there. I think we, as the agencies, we need to be more vocal. We need to get out there and reach our community, reach the people, and work together too. Not just do our own thing, but as much as we can. I know times get hard and people get sidetracked and they have their own different things they got to work on. But if we can coordinate and work together as much as possible and show unity, I think we can affect and make a lot of change around in the city.
Yeah, 100% people power. That's the way shit gets done. And like, I gotta stop swearing. That's the way stuff gets done. And I feel similarly that like Worcester seems to be these pockets of people that all feel the same way. They all want to make the place better. They all want to do the good thing, but there's not as much integration in terms of like combining efforts. And that is something that we as a city, we as individuals could be absolutely doing better. And it takes ownership of it. And it takes ownership of like recognizing that these things can be better and actually putting words into action.
Right. Yeah. For a long time, I always, like I said, I kept to myself. I was humble, but now it's just a matter of just going and doing. Too often do we sit back and we make excuses for ourselves. We say, oh, we don't have enough time. Well, COVID-19 is giving you plenty of time right now. You may not be able to go out to different stores or hit the gym or, you know, be around large groups of people. But now is a time when you can really sit back and do some self-reflect. You can work on your craft. I don't know if it's drawing. I don't know if you're trying to create a business. But now is a time for people to really dig deep, do some self-reflecting and set some goals and then go out and achieve it. I know for myself with this nonprofit organization, I was running around the city. I run the St. Peter's Basketball League. I coach traveling Worcester Team United, AAU basketball. I coach high school basketball in the fall for Maine South Claremont Academy. Back in the springtime, we're back around for Worcester Team United, all in the midst of still planning my backpack event, my Stop the Violence event, and then my Christmas toy drive. And I always find myself just praying for more time, right? Just reaching from somewhere. And now I got it. So this is just, unfortunately, due to the circumstance with COVID-19, I've been using this time wisely, and I've been thankful that, I can sit down and get my paperwork ready so that, once COVID-19 is done, I can really hit these companies and these businesses and ask for different grants and seed money and different things like that. Because, of course, right now we have to be sensitive due to COVID-19. But I'm taking this time and I'm using it wisely to self-reflect, promote what I have going on, be a voice of the community, and just be prepared for, because at some point, this thing is going to end, things are going to be lifted, and I'll be back up and running.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way. So using the time wisely is important. I always find it interesting when people complain about not having time for things. I forgot who said it, but some TED Talk I was watching told them to change the phrasing. Instead of saying you don't have time, it's just not an interest right now, or it's not one of your, you're not passionate about it, or something like that. And understanding oh yeah, you're going to make time for the things that really matter to you. Damn, all right. So how can I be doing that better? And that's
time management, just making some sacrifices in life, there are things that we do on a daily basis that can be cut out or cut down. Too often, people are on their phones and they're just swiping. I see some of our youth, they're swiping and they'll watch fights for a good hour. They'll watch different random fights, and my question is what do you get from that? The people that are out there that are wealthy and they're successful, they're actually, during their downtime, they're reading, they're doing some research, they're figuring out strategic ways to get to that next level. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people are doing this, but they have the world at their fingertips, the access to the internet and different things. But I just ask that they use it wisely, do some research versus watching things on social media and all those types of things.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. I'm definitely guilty of spending too much time just, swiping through.
Yeah, we all are, we all are. But the sooner that we realize it and catch ourselves and say, all right, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get off of this. I'm going to do a little bit of research for a half an hour, even if it's just a half an hour or to an hour. Then, it's a step. It's a step.
You said it best, time management. And time management comes with self-discipline and recognizing. Truthfully, I'm guilty of doing this too long, playing video games and dipping into something stupid, mindless and then I got to stop myself. What are you doing?
Right.
How is this helping anything? And to a certain extent, it helps, relax, and we need those things.
Oh, yeah.
But at a certain point, you need to ask yourself if you've been relaxing for a little too long.
Right.
True.
And that's accountability too. That's holding yourself accountable, because, like I said, we can sit back and we can make all these excuses, and we can blame it on this person because they're hating on the job. They don't want to see me on the next level, and they're going behind my back. They're backstabbing. But at the end of the day, you have to hold yourself accountable. On the job, people are, like I said, they're pointing the finger. They can't do that. At the end of the day, hopefully you're doing your job the right way, you're taking the extra steps that you need to get to where you want to be, so that, because complaining is only going to get you so far, right? We can sit back and complain all day, but if you're really not putting forward the steps to bettering your situation, then shame on you, and then even if you're doing your job, maybe you have to take it to the next level. You may have to get up an extra half an hour early and do some more work, or, stay a little later or something. And, this is not for everybody. This is for people that feel like they're just tired. They just want to see better in their life. They want to make a change. They want to be an impact. Like, make some sacrifices, hold yourself accountable, and, you know, don't worry about what other people are going to think or say about you.
110%.
Yeah.
To get somewhere you've never been before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. And it's like, if you don't own that, you're going to be stuck right where you are, not progressing and complaining about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that very too.
So you said that you worked at the courthouse?
Yes.
What do you do there?
I've been down at the Worcester Courthouse for 4 years in May now. I've been down there as a court officer, and I work district court, and I've seen a lot. I see a lot of our youth who I worked with residential program, or I see out in the community, graduate, right? When I say graduate, they graduate from juvenile court to district court, then superior or federal court, right? And something's got to give. Something's got to give. Too often do I see families being broken down. I catch them at their most vulnerable point in life where they're in a cell now. They lost family members. They lost all the support. A lot of them lost money. They just feel down, right? They feel like they don't have anything left. So I catch them at their most vulnerable point, and I try to give them some kind of positive reassurance. You know, you're still alive, first off. You still have opportunity to make things right. I try to give them something so that when they are released from incarceration, that they try to make changes and do better in life and get back all the things that they feel they've lost. And it's just it's tough because, like I said, I've seen a lot down there. I've seen murder arraignments. I've seen, you know, I'm down there with rapists and different, like real life cases and things that are going on. And like I said, I feel for a lot of people that come in there, just, you know, they're not bad people, they're making poor choices.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
So you've seen it all. I mean, you probably work with a lot of the police officers then. You must kind of interact with them.
I do.
Hold on.
I have a lot of friends that I grew up with, that I went to high school with, who are now on police force. And I work with them because, you know, as we all know, with the death of George Floyd, there's been a lot of separation from the people and law enforcement. And my whole thing is on that, and I stand by it. You know, I don't condone people looking at law enforcement as a whole and judging them off of these cowards' actions, right? There are a lot of great officers out there, and then some real shitty ones, right? Like you said, like, let's be real, right?
Right.
All we want is just justice. We want a fair playing ground, right? And I'm speaking for the people on this one. I'm not in court officer mode right now. I'm speaking for the people. We just want a fair playing ground. We just want justice. The minute that they found those officers to have done wrong and enough to be fired, they should have been placed in custody. I mean, it was clear as day what that man and the rest of them officers did was wrong. I don't think we would have had riots. I don't think we would have been at this point right now with the different protests and the looting and the different things going on right now. But the fact that those officers were not placed in custody after they killed an unarmed black man who was down on the ground, handcuffed, in custody, knee on his back, cutting off his breathing for over 8 minutes is absurd.
For a $20 bill, for a bad $20 bill. Yeah. So I've been reading and studying, and like, I'm speculating that we keep bringing up COVID-19. So we had 2 months where a lot of people were frustrated and stuck in their homes and getting real mad, and we're all on social media. And then you have the Ahmaud Arbery case come out, and a bunch of people learned about that. And then you had Breonna Taylor come out, and a bunch of people learned about that. But it was when George Floyd happened that I feel like it was just like wham, wham, wham. All
Yeah,
right.
enough is enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's just, and I said it off the top. I've never been to a protest before Monday. I've never felt so compelled, and I kind of feel ashamed that it's taken me this long to get off my phone, to get off, my fucking high horse and actually go out there and do something, put my words into action.
Right.
And I've had a fire in my gut all week, and I can only imagine what it feels like to live with this in an entire life, a lifetime of seeing these injustices happen, and to have your ability to understand that it isn't universally police officers is admirable. And you wish that the same perspective can be taken against the Black community, against any other community, that
Right.
protesting community, that some actions do not represent the actions of everybody.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, like I'm a officer, and I'm also part of the community. I'm a Black man, right? So I get it from all angles. Like I hear what's going on, I see what's going on, and I refuse to have this platform and this voice and not say anything. And I pray and I challenge other people in law enforcement who have a heart and who has seen what happened and what has happening to stand up and say something. That's all. Like they were saying, the silence is not helping.
No.
So the fact that we all human, like if I cut myself, I'm gonna bleed. If somebody else gets cut, they're gonna bleed. Like we're all the same. We're just different skin color, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But they're all the same. I just want everybody to stand up and just say something. Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane that we still have to have like that conversation now. Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So another piece is in December 3rd, 2010, Greenwood, Mississippi. I just said 2010. I'm not talking about 1918. I'm talking like 2010. My cousin, Frederick Jermaine Carter. You can Google him. It's on the news. Frederick Jermaine Carter was lynched in Greenwood, Mississippi, right?
Jesus.
This is still going on. Like, this is still real. Like, the racism, this stuff is still happening. And that just hurt our family. And of course, the media down south in the state of Mississippi, they swept it under the rug. They tried to just sweep it under the rug. They tried to say it was suicide. He committed suicide.
What?
We all know our cousin. He loved life. He loved his family. He may have had a mental health issue where he was checked into a hospital, but we know him. He was going to do a job with his stepfather. He did not commit suicide. There's no reason for him to go way out into the woods, miles away from his house, and commit suicide. The scene wasn't taped off. It was just rude suicide off the rip. And our family is still fighting for justice on that. That was 10 years ago, and it's tough, like, to still see these different things and injustices going on. Like,
God damn.
That's wild.
Fuck. I'll cut all that, but it's the stuff like that, yeah, it's been there. Like, this doesn't compare at all, but just, it reminded me of it, that Run the Jewels 4 came out this week, and Killer Mike has a track on Walking in the Snow that has a whole chunk of, basically a couplet ends with I Can't Breathe. And everybody thought that he recorded it for George Floyd, but the whole thing was written and recorded in 2019 and actually referenced Eric Garner. So it's like, a lot of these minds that are just clicking on have a lot of catching up to do, because this shit's been going on for far too long. Like, that's the stuff that I just can't wrap my brain around.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, shout out to David Banner. He actually put my cousin's name in a song. He shouted that out, you know, and he was in support of that whole case down there. And I can't remember the exact song, but David Banner, we appreciate you for keeping my cousin in prayers and supporting. We know he didn't commit suicide. It was a lynching.
Good Christ.
That's wild.
I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like, I'm curious if like, do you have personal investigators doing like, how do you fight that?
Yeah, there was an attorney on the case. I don't know what she's doing now. The family hasn't heard from her in quite some time. Yeah, I don't know.
Shit.
I don't know where to start. But you know, it hurts. It just hurts. Like
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I mean, but that's like the fact that this shit happened in 2010. Like,
it's yesterday.
Yeah. This isn't like the 70s civil rights movement. This is now. That's awful. And that was awful then, and it was awful. Anyway, I'm conflicted. I don't know what to fucking do. I don't know what to say. Like, yeah. Yeah. How do we move forward? How do we continue to do these good things in our community? How does a couple white boys that are really just turning on to all this shit help?
This is a start. This is definitely a start. I appreciate you using your platform to reach out to me so that we can have these conversations and be able to voice our opinions and throw it out there to people in the world so that they can hear these different messages. I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't have the answers. I have suggestions, I have ideas, and I have ways that I think may help, but I don't have the answers, right? Like I said, one way is doing this, getting having these difficult conversations. A lot of times people don't want to have difficult conversations for whatever reason, right? People of color stepping up and getting in positions to make change. That's another one. More law enforcement. We need more people of color who have grew up in the city and can relate to their people and know how to handle certain situations where when they come on scene, they're not so quick to pull their gun, or they're not so quick to judge it. They're willing to take the time, observe the scene, and then address it appropriately, right? We need more people who have been through these situations in politics to make change, be a voice. Those are just some of the suggestions. Going out in your community, talking to our youth, holding them accountable when they're out there doing things they should not be doing.
Yeah.
Just stepping up and standing out. Like, it's time to stop talking. It's time to start putting actions and start doing. That's my whole thing. Like, let's stop talking. Let's be about it.
Yeah.
Less talk, more rock. I'm absolutely there, my dude. Like, absolutely there. Yeah.
Yeah, feel that.
Anything else we should touch on?
I have more merchandise coming out. As you see right now, I have on the King sweatshirt. I tell our youth all the time, you are kings, you are queens, you are princes, you are princesses. The quicker we can get these kids to realize this and value life, right? The better chances we are on getting them off on the right track and being successful and holding themselves accountable for different things that go on around them, right? The energy we put out is the energy that we're going to get back. I have merchandise coming out because I want these kids to understand, like, and feel it. Like, I call myself a king every day. I look in the mirror. I have this little soundboard face I'm talking to myself, and I believe it, and I know it. So that when I put that energy out there, people also feel it. People also believe it, and before you know it, they start calling you king, right? If you're going out there and you're feeling like you're worthless and you you're walking with your head down like this, you're making yourself vulnerable for people to take advantage of you. You're not going to be productive. You're not going to go out there and put your best foot forward. So we need to hold our head up, call ourselves kings, queens, be about it, live it, believe it, set some goals, go out there and achieve it, right? So going back, I have some merchandise coming out. I hope people go out there and support it. They buy it. Keep an eye on my website. It's 508foreveryoung.com. And I'll be putting different merchandise on there, along with the different activities and programs that I have coming up. And just stay with me. I just plead that everybody just continue to support, continue to do what's right, do what for humanity. Just do it.
Yeah. How do you not back that message?
I'm out here like giving my heart. Like I really live this. I believe it. I as much as I can do, I can try to support different groups in the city. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not gonna make everybody happy. Not everybody's gonna agree with me, my message, and unfortunately, it is what it is. I'm a God-fearing man. I pray that I'm doing what He wants me to do, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. My parents, they're proud of me. My kids, they're proud of me. They're doing all right. Like, I'm happy. And that's all I can ask for in life. Like, life's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue on this mission, this marathon, and we're gonna make some changes.
That's well said, man.
For sure.
I just want to say thanks again for coming on and talking with us. And
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, clearly you're a very busy person.
Yeah. Like I don't a lot of people out there, they sleep. I don't sleep. I take naps. Like,
yeah.
I love naps.
People sleep comfortably for 8-10 hours, like drooling. I don't get that. I just power nap, and then like my brain is constantly going, and it's tough. Like, think about taking some melatonin or something, but on a serious note, like it's all well worth it. You know, it's all well worth it. Like, I see the change in people, and I, like I said, I hold myself. Like I critique myself sometimes a little too much, but I just want more. I just want more.
Right.
I want to be selfish. I need more results. I need to see more success stories. We need change. We need change.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Definitely thank you guys for using your platform to reach out to me so that we can get the message across and out there.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing, man. Like 100%. I sleep 5 hours a night. I'm trying to figure out how to do more for my community, how to do more. It just goes to show that we bleed the same blood. We have the same passions. We have the same feelings. Like, all the more reason why this shouldn't be an issue anymore. And we should all just be together and fucking and do this. I get so impassioned because, like, I have no other way to describe it. Right. It's frustrating that we have to be here, and like, yeah, but it's good. It's steps towards good.
Yep. We're gonna get there.
So that was 508foreveryoung.com, 508 Forever Young on Instagram.
508 Forever Young on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Woodrow Adams Jr. I also have a 508 Forever Young page on Facebook. You can email me at 508foreveryoung@gmail.com. My phone number, 774-386-2292. As you see, everything's up here. Find me, reach out, let's work. Let's make some changes.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, the middle schools, the high schools, residential programs, the alternative schools, all these different groups, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, please reach out to me. I'm willing to donate my time. I'm willing to go in there and speak to our kids, our youth, our tomorrows, and try to motivate them. I'm trying to like I said, set some goals with them and so they can reach and obtain them and be successful, please contact me. There was a high demand last year for me to go out to the high schools. I went to North High, went to South, Sullivan. No, I'm sorry, I didn't go to South. I went to North High, and I went to Burncoat, and I also went to Sullivan Middle School. I was in the works with going to East Middle, but the COVID-19 just delayed everything. But teachers, administration, principals, Channel Elementary, where I grew up, kindergarten through 6th, let's do it. Reach out to me. We'll set a date. We'll set a time. I'll go over there. And I created an hour-long presentation during this time. And I just want to go out there and present to these kids and catch them early.
Yeah. I love that. I love the focus on the youth. I think that's becoming more clear to me that, like, that's kind of the real like power we have for change is educating the youth, because they're the next ones in line to kind of like take over those positions of power and you know, run through politics and all that stuff. So I love the idea of just focusing on the youth and getting them all on the same page.
Yep. I mean, it's so hard for me to speak to a lot of adults and change them. Like, they're already stuck in their ways. A lot of them know it all. They got their mindset. They're doing all right. They may not want to get to the next level. They got it all mapped out, right? But our youth are just so vulnerable and so open. A lot of them are eager to learn, but they may not have the tools. And our youth, like that, forever young. If I can reach our youth and I can make an impact on them, this will be forever, like, I will be forever young. You know, my name will be certain, like, people will embrace the fact of making change in our youth. And like you said, as they grow older, they're going to be the ones out there making a difference. You know, they're our tomorrows. We can't keep killing our todays and, you know, hurting our tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I also want to go on public record that maybe I shouldn't speak for Ricky, but anything that I can do, I'm a graphic designer by trade and I'm a voice in the community. Anything I can do to help support your mission, please let me know. I want to help. I want to be, Yeah, no, Sam, whatever you guys need, if just getting out information or helping, you know, schedule Facebook posts or anything like that, like whatever you guys need, let us know.
All right. And I don't know if you're able to come down to different events also and do live feeds and events.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right. I have your information. I'll definitely be in touch and we'll do what we can to make a difference.
Cool. Let's do it.
Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you, Woodrow. I hope to meet you in person here once we are all touching again.
Okay, great.
Get a coffee and talk, you know, off air about how we can be doing more.
All right. Travis, Ricky, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, Woodrow. Like we said in the interview, we were both lucky enough to be at the protest on Monday to hear him speak. It was very impressive. Was he the first or second speaker on Monday?
Technically second, because Christian King.
Yeah. So like to have him come up and speak and not have a pre-planned speech or even like an outline of like things he wanted to follow. He spoke straight from the heart. It was very, very, very impressive. It was a great interview. Sorry about my technical difficulties.
Sorry, the same thing happened Monday night, because to find Woodrow's name, it was actually really hard because I didn't hear it that night. The mic kept cutting in and out because they were having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like a list of speakers that I could find easily. So I had to like filter through photos, find a tagged photo, hit them up on Facebook.
Really? Yeah. So I couldn't really tell like when anybody was speaking. I could kind of like tell when people were speaking, but I wasn't sure because mine was pretty much frozen on my end for a majority of it. But yeah, no, it was great to have him speak and to have somebody who like he said, he like technically works in law enforcement. So he's able to kind of, you know, I don't want to say bridge the gap because I don't know if that's the proper term for his, you know, role in all this, but it's good to have somebody who kind of understands both sides of the, I guess, battle, not the right word, but
the issue. Yeah. I mean, it just goes more to galvanize his point that our police force needs more representation of the community. Our positions of power need more representation of the community, because when people see people that look like themselves in positions of power, they realize that they too can have a voice, and they too can add to the community voice and to the movement of good.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And do his stuff. The backpack drive, the stop the violence, like 3rd year in a row. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't hear about the first 2. Like,
I know, same, very much so, same.
So like this is us taking ownership that if we're really going to say we're tapped into this city, we need to be really tapped into this city and go find all the people that are talking.
Yeah, I mean, something he said that I made a note for because it really stood out to me was be about it. It's kind of like what we started the podcast to do, was to like be about bringing shining light on things that don't get enough light shine on them. So yeah, I just definitely, I don't know, I want to take that those 3 very small words and like they're a massive thing.
So this is a commitment to you, our audience, that we are going to continue to broaden our interview base, keep finding more voices from our community, because we have such an eclectic and wonderfully diverse community that really needs to be represented and embraced.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, kicking into some Stokes and Pokes.
Let's do it.
Take it away, Solon.
Schools closed, Tom Hanks, trouble in the big banks, no vaccine, quarantine, no more toilet paper scene, travel ban, Weinstein, panic, COVID-19, NBA gone away, what else do I have to say? It's time for Stokes and Pokes now, it's time to do Stokes and Pokes. Something like that. We could work around with whatever's going to work, we'll see.
Thank you, Solon. I feel like our energy level is kind of reduced on this episode comparatively to some other.
A little bit.
We're talking about some heavy stuff here, but we're doing it as positive as possible. And with that in mind, so I'm gonna start with my stoke. I am stoked about how much action this movement is seeing. Just following through social media and following along what's happening. There has been protests outside of the White House every day, well past curfew. They're continuing. Even last night they were there. We're now on a Friday. I imagine they'll be tonight. There are currently artists painting a massive Black Lives Matter mural on the road outside the White House.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is, to say that it is massive is an understatement. To capture it needs to be from a helicopter or drone.
That's so sick.
Yeah, I'm so pumped to see that done. And from my understanding of how the event is going, Saturday might be the next Million Man March on DC, because it sounds like there's going to be 1 million people marching on DC in the middle of a pandemic, fully understanding what they're getting themselves into, but making sure that the person that's running this country actually understands the voices that need to be heard. And I guess if I'm to poke anything, now that I'm thinking about it, it's the fact that yesterday Trump built his wall and a fence went up around the entire perimeter of the White House. If we're talking about embracing and we're talking about listening, fences don't make for good conversations.
Nope.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm concentrating on is I will unfortunately not be able to go to Washington, D.C. this weekend. I really, really feel compelled to, but I need to not do that. But instead, I will be here locally here in Worcester and continuing to help the voices in my own community. And yeah, that's what I got. What do you got for me?
So we had talked before we started this, saying that neither of us had a poke. You were able to pull a poke out, and I wasn't going to, just because like you could kind of poke a million things right now, but I do have a poke. So when the president got elected, he had appointed General Mattis as the Secretary of Defense. I know a lot of people who were very excited about that, who thought that this is going to be it. We're going to go in, we're going to kick some ass and like do all that kind of stuff. I thought it was very telling when Mattis resigned, which I don't know enough about him, but what I do know is like I don't think he's much of a quitter. So for him to kind of quit, basically, I thought was very telling. I thought it was even more telling that the people who were so diehard, getting a red, white, and blue boner over this guy getting this job had nothing to say about that. They didn't come out and defend it. They did, they go quiet. It was more telling the other day when Mattis straight up like went in like on Trump. It was amazing, really. I'm not a military guy, never gonna be, not my thing. But like the way he spoke, I thought was very powerful. And he basically called it as he sees it. Again, the same people were very, very, very quiet. A lot of those people have been very quiet recently. I just think it's very telling. So my poke is if you feel that passionately about him getting the job as Secretary of Defense because you thought that he was the right person for the job, how do you not think he's the right person to be saying what he's saying? I just think it's very strange.
Yeah, so, I agree with that.
My poke is on those people. They're kind of showing their true colors right now.
Yeah. Also, realizing that both of us are humongous Run the Jewels fans and we texted each other within minutes of it dropping. Thank you to LP and Killer Mike for releasing Run the Jewels 4 early. It is fantastic. The bangers at the start. I mean, it is feeling like a little front loaded. But the oh my God, Staples. Oh my God, what's her first name? Mavis, thank you. The Mavis Staples track where she sings the hook on track 10 or 11 is like, if you're unfamiliar with Mavis Staples, I learned about her through NPR of all places and how she was a soul singer. And this is just a wonderful accompaniment to two of the most fantastic linguists out in our community, our culture right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought it was kind of summed up, in my opinion, the best way. Somebody had tweeted out that this record was already kind of pegged to be a front runner for Record of the Year. It just happened to also speak to what is going on currently, even though it was recorded 8+ months ago, really. I thought it just kind of shows like the power of that group. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, also on that note, shout out Bad Rabbits. Everybody knows that Bad Rabbits is like my favorite band ever. They put out a record like I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now. I honestly can't think of the time when it came out, but it was probably close to that, 4 or 5 years ago, called American Nightmare. It's a darker record compared to everything else they do. If you know about the band, nobody was surprised that they did it, but they kind of, their first like 2 like major releases were very much that like style that Bruno Mars kind of stole from them, really, and put it like that, like kind of like the resurgence of New Jack Swing type stuff. It was very much in that like dancey kind of world. Then they dropped this record that's just like hard and dark and like much more, rock oriented. There's a song on there called What Would You Do that you honestly would think was written last week. And I've seen that getting reposted a lot recently.
The little Captain America, the young Captain America boy.
Yep. So I listened to a podcast yesterday featuring their lead singer, and and a lot of it was recorded like over the weekend. So it definitely touched on current events. It was wildly powerful. I'll post that in the Instagram story and stuff. But it was amazing. So definitely like those, Run the Jewels, that Bad Rabbits record. And there's more songs than just that one, but that one song like really, really stands out. And once you hit that, the next like 2 or 3 songs in a row kind of all tie back to it. But yeah, I don't know. I've thought about that record a lot recently, and I've been listening to it a lot. And then none of these are my Stoke, by the way, but they all could be. But the Menzingers actually just released. They have this song called "America, You're Freaking Me Out" on their new record. I've thought of that chorus a lot since it came out, but especially recently, where you would think, I mean, that's another song that could kind of be like, could have come out today, basically, and would make a lot of sense. They actually re-recorded it and did it in more of like a, kind of like an Americana acoustic-y version, and rewrote the entire thing about what had gone down last week. It's very impressive. So I'm definitely, I don't know. It's cool having bands that I like absolutely love that are on the same page as me.
Yeah.
But now for my Stoke. So my Stoke is Twitter. I've always been a big Twitter fan. It's probably my favorite form of social media, just because that's where everything goes viral. Like, things are tweeted and then they go into the other social media accounts like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that.
Reddit.
So Reddit, yeah, it's always kind of been, since it's come out, it's been like the breeding ground for everything that's happened. It's the way I get all of my news, both sports and like real world, but because it happens in real time. And I think Twitter's never been more valuable as it is right now. My Instagram screen time is drastically down. Facebook is drastically down. I literally have not looked at TikTok in a week. I've been basically like solely focused on Twitter, because you're getting the news from where it's coming from. You know what I mean? You're getting the news from the street. You're getting the news from, you know, the reporters who are actually out there.
First-hand accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not getting filtered and then presented to you at 6 p.m. It's coming out as it's happening, with video, with photos, with everything. It's very, very, very powerful. It's easy to move information on Twitter, both good and bad, which I think is kind of like the Twitter secret power is, if you want to show something and you can't find the right words for it, and you see the tweet that's already written exactly the way you want it, or, you know, that conveys that message the right way, all you have to do is hit retweet. Bingo. And then you automatically show whoever follows you. So it's like, I don't know, it just has a power to really get things going.
And I also, just update with what you're saying, I love that on Twitter, if something starts trending and a group of people disagree with why it's trending, they can hijack it and turn it. The thing I'm thinking about right now is there was a group of
K-pop.
people that didn't like Blue Lives Matter, and they put in up all these pictures of Blue Lives Matter of all like the Smurfs and Blue Power Rangers, and it was just it was entertaining. The
All Lives Matter movement was hijacked by K-pop fans.
The stands,
which I thought was or fans. I don't know a whole lot about that world at all. It's not for me. If Chelsea's listening, she can kill me. She tells me to listen to
BTS.
Yes, BTS. I was like, I know it's 3 letters, but I couldn't remember what the heck they were. I wanted to say BSB, but I know that's Backstreet Boys. Sorry, but yeah. So that was hijacked by K-pop stans, and they kind of took over that, which is great. But on top of just the way that news is presented and things can kind of move like very fluidly, So like Jack Dorsey came out and donated $3 million to Colin Kaepernick's fund. That's a lot of money. And Dorsey, I think, kind of like, I think in the same way that Barstool Sports like changed the entire content game during Corona, I honestly feel like Jack Dorsey saw coronavirus, but like leading into you know the protests and stuff, it's kind of like Twitter's moment to show that they are so much different than everything else. Facebook owns Instagram, and Zuckerberg has come out and shown that he is clearly on the wrong side of history, which really sucks because he has the power. He literally did change the world, but he has the power to do a lot of really good things. And it's pretty clear that he has no interest in doing the right thing at all. Exactly. It's very much a money grab. Twitter is showing that they're the absolute opposite. And it's pretty obvious. I mean, just from fact checking the president, which Facebook has come out and they will not do it. And they clearly back him, which is very disappointing.
Moving tweets that insinuate or that incite violence and riots,
yeah. It's Twitter's moving in the right direction, and it's very impressive. It blows my mind when people aren't on it. When people say that, I don't do Twitter. Like, what do you mean you don't do Twitter? Like, you don't have to tweet, but how are you that unplugged from what's actually going on? Like, you're waiting for your uncle to post it on Facebook, who probably is going to say some dumb crap, around it. Like that, I don't know. It just kind of blows my mind. So my stoke is Twitter. I don't understand why everybody's not on it. And if you don't get on it, you're probably going to be missing out because it sounds like more people than not are going to be switching mostly to Twitter.
I've never used Twitter as much as I have the past 2 weeks. And
I have. I've definitely Twitter overloaded, especially during coronavirus. It's the only way to get actual news.
Seriously though.
But yeah, so shout out Twitter.
Shout out Twitter. Awesome. Well, you did it. You killed another hour listening to us Babylon. Just want to say thanks again to Woodrow Adams Jr. for joining us from 508 Forever Young. Thank you all for tuning back in and sharing our podcast and telling your friends about us. I have been Travis. You can find me on the interwebs at Hunchback Travis.
I've been Ricky. You can find me on Twitter at DickChuck77. It's seltzertime official. We're on the other stuff too, but just get ready for a Twitter shift.
A hard lean into the Bluebird.
Real hard lean into the Bluebird. That's that. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. Cheers.